So it's time to change things, to swap things up a little. Variety's the spice of life after all. Fold-up solar panel that went in a case, and we kept it in the roof box.
Yeah, I know, we're from Yorkshire and we don't like spending money.
I don't know where I've been, I don't know where I'm going.
So last year, you guys will have probably seen a previous video where we had this solar panel, which was a portable fold-up solar panel that went in a case, and we kept it in the roof box. Now, whilst it was great whilst we were permanently on site, because you could move it around, you could get it in the sun, it kept our batteries up when we weren't on electrics and we weren't moving, we want to be able to tow around, and having one that you have to fold out and put at the side of the car just isn't an option. And to be honest, one of the other problems we had with this fold-out solar panel was its weight. It weighed 9 kilos. So getting that in and out of the roof box was not a simple task. So if we do decide to stop off for a couple of nights somewhere and we don't move the car, so we don't use the split charger for the leisure battery, then this solar panel could actually help keep the battery topped up when we're running our compressor fridge. So what Bernie's done so far is, instead of having it side by side sort of in landscape mode, he's separated the two panels and they're now side by side but in portrait mode. So he's going to fasten the two panels together. That will give us one long solar panel, because obviously with the roof box on, a full width one would be too wide. And we just thought, rather than buying a new one, we were going to sell this one and then buy a new one, a slimline one. Why don't we just take it apart and join it back together permanently in the portrait mode?
Right, to fasten our redesigned solar panel to the roof bars, I ordered and received from eBay some galvanised steel flat rod, 30mm by 150mm by 6mm, so it's nice and chunky and heavy. But what I'm going to do with it as well is I'm going to paint it, that's how it comes obviously. I'm going to paint it black to give it a bit more protection and make it look a bit better when it's on the roof bars. With two sections to each side. Now on our solar panel, it has a bit of a ridge underneath, which can make it a little bit fiddly to get a plate in there and then to hold a nut in place with a washer and then to get the bolt up underneath, which we'll show you later when we fit it. So what I've done is I've actually glued two lock nuts to the top plate that's going to slide inside the solar panel. What that will do is that'll temporarily hold them in place like so. So imagine this top part will be slid inside the solar panel, which has two holes drilled in obviously, and then the bottom plate will then go underneath the roof bar cross section. Imagine that's that. Push up through the solar panel, screw into the locking nuts like so. Then when they've gone in to there, I'll be able to get a spanner on them then, because they're going to break loose once I start to tighten it. But at least I can get a spanner in there and then tighten these up from underneath and make it nice and tight on the crossbar.
I suppose it'll all, like you say, it'll all become really clear once you start fitting it on.
Once we've put it on, we'll be able to show it all in place and how it's going to fasten.
It's a bit hard to explain really until you try to visualise it.
I was looking for U-bolts to fasten it to the roof bars.
Right.
But the trouble is with our roof bars, they're quite wide.
They're like those whisper ones that don't make a noise.
Well, they are in a way. But because they're so wide, trying to find U-bolts wide enough and then long enough to be able to fit on was virtually impossible. I did find some, which I would have had to cut down,
Right.
but they were like £7 each.
Yeah, we don't
It
believe.
wasn't some, yeah, I know, we're from Yorkshire and we don't like spending money. But when you've got to cut them down as well,
Yeah.
cut the threads down as well, you know, and these are going to be probably even better.
Yeah.
Because I will be putting a little rubber pad on each one as well, the non-slip pad, which
That's
will go
a bit
up
like
against.
the same material that we used when you fixed the sun canopy onto the rail, wasn't it?
That's right. It'll just
Cushion it a bit.
Cushion it, and it'll be a non-slip.
Excellent.
So that'll be basically what they'll look like when
Right.
they're put together.
Your plate sandwich.
Plate sandwich.
Right. So here's the solar panel on the roof, and Bernie's used the little brackets that he was making. You can just see one on the end there and one in the middle, and they're fastened front and back onto both of the cross rails. Now you might be wondering what those other brackets are for, and these ones here. If you watched any of our previous videos, you'll know that we actually have a sun canopy that goes on this side. Now, we were hoping that we might be able to put this solar panel on the other side of the roof rails, on the driver's side, and then put the roof box where the solar panel is, just to distribute the weight out a little. Because we intend leaving the solar panel on the car all the time to save having to take it on and off. But when there's no roof box, it does mean that with the solar panel and the sun canopy, all the weight is going to be on the near side here. But we don't think that's going to be an issue, and we'll just have to, as they say, suck it and see. Now, some of you might actually be saying, why don't we swap the sun canopy over onto the offside, onto the driver's side here? The problem with that is the way we have the inside set up, we go in and out of the passenger door. So it wouldn't be practical to have it on this side, to be honest. And the other problem with trying to swap these items around by putting the solar panel on this side and the roof box on the other side is that this roof box doesn't have a dual opening mechanism, so it'll only open from this side. So our hands were tied, really.
Obviously when we're wild camping, we need the solar panel to run the fridge and all the other 12 volt electrics like chargers, etc. in there. So as you've seen on the other videos, we've put this on the roof now, and I've put in an SAE plug on the top of there, and you know, if you look back on the other videos, you'll see there's one on the bumper. So what I did was made a basic extension cable. Actually, one end plugs into the solar panel. I've got a couple of magnets on to hold it to the side, like so. And that runs down the side, comes around and plugs into the socket at the bottom.
Job's your uncle and fun is your aunt. Hopefully. There we go, finished job. Although the roof box isn't fastened yet, we just put it on the roof just to make sure everything's still fitted where it was supposed to do, and it does. Excellent. Job well done. Now, ever since we got Buddy Berlingo, when we started with the boot jump, we've always intended on trying to keep the car a car more than it is a camper van. But it seems things are changing a little. There's things that are slightly bit more permanent since we had the Chapel Motorhomes conversion put in. But there's one thing we don't want to do, and that is to drill holes in the roof for the solar panel. And this is why we've gone down this route. When we're travelling, as Bernie said, it charges via split charge, so it doesn't have to be plugged in all the time. It's just if we find a decent spot and we want to stay, then obviously we can just plug it in via the extension cable that he's just made, and that'll work fine for us.